A wartime diary. You are a newspaper writer, a war correspondent covering this war. When it ends, you will write a book about the times you've lived through. So you have been keeping a diary to record events. It's 1945. Here are some excerpts from your journal and some notes from this author. January 1st. Allied forces are beginning to turn back a powerful German army in Belgium. Soldiers are calling this the Battle of the Bulge. A strong German offensive created a bulge in the Allied defensive line. Whatever you want to call this battle, it is fierce. Still, it looks as if this will be a good year for the Allies. Germany's armies are being battered on the ground, its cities pounded from the air. January 20th. FDR is inaugurated for a fourth term as president. No other president has served more than twice. January 24th. Russian soldiers have crossed the Otter River for the first time and are on German soil. January 27th. Today in Poland, Soviet forces liberated a German concentration camp. It is named Auschwitz. People in the camp were used as slaves by a German industrial chemical company. The company has left charts of the cost and profits of slave labor, but the camp was built primarily for another purpose. It was built to kill people. The horror and evil of all are more than anyone wants to believe. 3 million people were murdered at Auschwitz, most of them Jews. February 1st. The sky is thick with planes, an incredible sight. 1,000 airplanes are flying over Europe on their way to bomb Berlin. February 4th through the 11th. President Roosevelt has flown to Yalta in the Crimea to meet with England's Winston Churchill and Russia's Joseph Stalin. They are said to be planning for their final battles of the war. They agree to call a meeting of the world's nations in San Francisco in April to form a peacekeeping organization called the United Nations. February 14th. John D. Rockefeller Jr. donates $8.5 million to buy land in New York City as a permanent home for the United Nations. Woodrow Wilson's idea of a League of Nations may finally be achieved. February 19th, American Marines have landed on Iwo Jima, an island in the Pacific. Reports tell of incredibly hard fighting and great losses on both sides. This very famous picture over here from Iwo Jima of them raising the flag. General Douglas MacArthur promised to return to the Philippines, and he's done it. March 7th, the United States First Army has crossed the River Rhine and is inside Germany. All German armies have been pushed back into the fatherland. March 9th, today, 325 low-flying bombers dropped incendiary bombs on Tokyo. The bombs are filled with jellied gasoline meant to set fires. The Japanese capital became so hot that the water in its canals boiled. Still, the Japanese refused to surrender. Later reports list 267,000 Tokyo buildings burned to the ground and 89,000 persons dead. March 21st. Today we watched an enormous air armada fly overhead on its way to Germany. There were 7,000 Allied planes. Until now, most bombing raids have been at night to make it difficult for the anti-aircraft guns and fighter planes to see the bombers. Now Germany has little firepower left. The bombers fly at will. Bomb damage there is said to be devastating. The Axis powers now have no hope of winning, and yet neither Germany nor Japan will give up. Those who began this insane engine of war have cut out the brakes. They can't seem to stop. Is it their own people who are suffering the most? It is their own people who are suffering the most. Do the warlords care?